Have you ever wondered what this effect is? Ring mod? My name is UNX, and we're going to be going over Ring Mod DSP. I want to explain just a couple little things before we get into the cool stuff, like the sound design and stuff like that. But trust me, stay to the end, and I got a free plug-in to give you. The one thing about Ring Mod that relates to a lot of other DSP is you're always doing an input plus something else equals to the output. So in this case, with Ring Mod, we have an input, right? Plus the modulator, which is the sine wave modulator. I'm about to show you some really cool stuff. When we turn up the frequency modulation and when we turn down, stuff gets really cool. Let's load up a serum. Let's go to a sine wave. Or, something cooler, like what we know, a square wave. We're gonna use a tool I made. I honestly could have just got one from the internet, but you know me, I like to make my own stuff. So I have an oscilloscope here, and now if we play this, we can obviously see that a square wave is gonna come out. Cool, right? That's really cool. Remember, we have our input with just a square. Now there's other ones like a low pass, a band pass, but we're not gonna take into account to that stuff because it just gets hectic, as you can see. So cool thing about a sine wave oscillator, you can start making a sound slower or faster to get a different result in our sound design. Ring Mod's gonna give you more of that ring. This is a sine wave modulator, so this is like what's going into this. I can't really show this moving, and they didn't either, but I do have a Ring Mod that I made that is going to be coming out soon, that I'm touching up and everything. If you are interested in this, leave a comment below. I'll be doing some more teaser videos soon on this, but this was what really inspired this video. Let's like change it to a different wave. As you can see, this is a great representation of seeing the additive of the Ring Mod to the actual sine wave. So we can actually see what's happening with an oscilloscope, This is great. Oscilloscopes are amazing. I made this just for this video. You can grab it below. Here's without the Ring Mod. Now remember, the oscilloscope isn't like perfectly touched up. I just kind of made this within like a couple hours. It's good enough for a little play around toy. We have a nice output on the sine wave. But once we add the Ring Mod, we start to get a really weird kind of messed up kind of additive modulation being added to the note playing. You start to see stuff like this. That sound probably sounded a little familiar, and maybe it was made with a Ring Mod. But the cool thing about Ring Mod and a lot of other effects that I'm trying to explain in this video is, there's certain reasons of why I pick certain sounds or certain like structures, to a sound, and we can like kind of depictate how or what an effect is maybe going to do. Now, obviously, this is Ring Mod, and this is it's different. Ring Mod is a little bit different than how combs works or flangers, but we can even see with an oscilloscope of what it's possibly doing. Let's open up a project of mine that I've been kind of doing, right? So now we're in the project, or I can really explain stuff a lot better. What I was trying to explain is, so like let's take a little example of what's going on in this cool project. I'm using a lot of Ring Mod here, and my own to be exact. It's got a little bug right now, so that's why I said that. Let's see what's going on. So what I was trying to explain kind of earlier in that little breakdown, we can take any sound, right, that's, kind of doesn't really have much to it, but like we can take any sound like, a sine wave or like a square or anything, a triangle, whatever you want, right? And we can really alter them by adding cool effects. You can do stuff like this that will add different types of align phasing, even like a disperser. A disperser is a really good example of something kind of an effect that this is somewhat doing, but this is doing more because it's more of a multi-band. We're going to go into explaining that more in a different video. Once you start combining this stuff, we can really take like a Ring Mod and start to shape a sound and make it tighter. We can make it tighter, like here on this display here. make it loose, or we can make it tighter. And that's what's happening when we go up with the frequency or go down. That's 100, and then that's 1,000. You can kind of assume how it's going to sound, or how, fast the sound's going to be. So it might be more tonally high or sharp like this. See what I mean? But if we go lower, starts to be a little more like grungier and slower in a way, kind of like slower in a sense, and more lower pitched, so with a deeper timbre. So let's take off the 2 ring mods that I got going on here. There's really not much, so that's what I was trying to explain. Like, these sounds are just square waves. I promise you, they're just square wave modulation. They're just simple square wave instances. And what I like to do is I like to add ring mod and kind of give it more tonality. So I was trying to explain in the beginning, you can do a lot of different things with different type of waves that you run into a sine wave ring mod. I hope this video helps understand how ring mods work a little more, other than just kind of loading it up and then being like, what the hell is this? How I'm getting this sharp kind of response, I do want to say, is a vocodex. It's a multi-pass vocoder. Everything that's going into this right now, so if I'm correct, the default on how I have this set up, all the input is going back into the output. So it's rerunning it through the bands and then putting it right back on the output. If you use some type of like aligned phasing or some type of filtering and then a ring mod or a ring mod before it, you can get a lot of really cool type of tonalities, like these sharp tonalities that I'm doing. So I hope that makes more sense. And by the way, again, that's a square wave. That's just a square wave. Again, I can play it off like this is what it sounds like with nothing. Understanding effects makes it so much easier to do what you want. And that's kind of how I curated my V1X sound. So I hope this video helped. I hope you learned a lot from it, and comment below if you want me to do more of these. If there's a specific effect you'd want me to do next. So yeah, remember, never give up, have a ton of fun, make what you love. Who gives a fuck, fuck the pros.